Hi everyone, today we're taking a look at pages 26 and 27 in your lesson book. As you can see, we are now starting a new key, but it's a little bit different than what we've been doing. All of the keys we've done so far this year have had sharps in them. We're now starting to look at keys with flats. So we're in the key of F major, and you can see that that key signature has one flat. If you only have one flat in the key signature, it's going to be B flat. So all of our B's are flat in the exercises we're playing today. Everything else is going to be natural. So keep that in mind as we're going through this. Starting out like we always do in this book, going through our finger patterns on every string. So we're going to start with 132, looking at the E string for violins and bass. Violins, this is a reminder for you that to play an F natural, you're going to need to put your first finger low down on the E string. So this is F natural. We're starting with a low one. And after that low one, we're going to do a 3-4 pattern. So close 3 and 4. So here we go with the E string. Going to the A string, this is going to be an open pattern where there's, a whole step between all of your fingers. But again, we're starting with a low one because the note is B flat. So here we go on the A string. Moving to the D string, our first finger goes back to its regular position because E natural is in this key. So right where it would normally go, a 1-2 pattern on the D string. Here we go. And again, a 1-2 pattern on G. And lastly, going to the C string for violas and cellos. Violas, you have a 2-3 pattern. So this one should be pretty comfortable for us. It's the pattern that we've been known for the longest. So here we go with the C string. Awesome. All right, moving on to 133. Now we're going to be looking at our finger patterns in third position. So starting with the E string, we're up in third, and it's a 1-2 pattern. So find your third position, and here we go. Good. Moving over to the A string, and everyone's going to play with it. This with us. Violins and violas. We have a 2-3 pattern here. Over to the D string, again a 2-3 pattern. Over to G, 3-4 pattern this time, so space, space, close. And finally the C string, and it is a 3-4 pattern for the C string as well. Here we go. Awesome. Very good. Okay. So now we're going to 134, the 2-octave F major scale. This one is not too bad for violas and cellos because they have a lower F on their C string. So they only have to get into third position in order to play this scale. But for violins, because the lowest F we have is actually pretty high, it's 2 fingers on the D string, we're going to have to get higher than third position to play this. So there's you can see in your book, it says new position. We're actually going to do something called fifth position. So before we even look at that, this is just for the violins, but let me show you what that is going to look like and what that means. So sometimes I'll call fifth position the third position of third position. And what I mean by that is to find third position, we start in first and we put our first finger where we would normally put our third finger, right? And that's how you find third position. Well, to find fifth position, you do the same thing, but you start in third. So I'm in third position right now. I do 1, 2, 3, and where my third finger is, I'm going to put my first finger there, and that is fifth position. Okay. The nice thing about the fifth position in this, it uses a finger pattern that we most often use when we're shifting, the 3-4 finger pattern. So when you get to fifth position, all you're going to do is 1, space to 2, space to 3, and close 4, and you'll be good to go. I will remind you that as you get higher up your instrument, the spacing becomes much less. So the space to 2 and the space to 3 really is not going to feel like a whole lot, but it's very important that you put your pinky right next to your third finger for that top note. It's a pretty high note. It's a high F. So what we're going to do, we'll play through this. Remember, we play everything like it's a quarter note, just to keep the rhythm simple. Violas and cellos, you should not have any problem going through this. Just remember, this is for everyone. There are B flats in this. So let's see, violas and cellos. If you look at the 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth note. No, I'm sorry, the fourth note. Cellos, that's going to be 2 fingers on the G string, and violas, it's a low 2. You're going to put your second finger close to your first finger. I'm going to play it the violin way. That way the violinist can check out what it looks like in fifth position. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's the B flat. Shift again. Good. And when we meet for our lesson, we will go through and mark in those half steps like we've been doing. But if you feel like that's helpful and you want to do that now, remember the half steps go between the third and fourth note and the seventh and eighth note. So you can go through and mark those on your own if you'd like to. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. We're going to go to 137, Simple Gifts. This is a melody that hopefully you should recognize. It's nice when you have a melody you can recognize so that you know if you're playing it in tune or not. The big thing with this is remembering in first position all of those notes that go along with the key of F. So making your F's natural, of course, C's are natural, and then making sure your B's are flat. If we start at the beginning, let me play just a little bit so you can get an idea of what it should sound like. Okay, so I'll play it in the upper octave for violin and then in the lower octave for viola and cello. So violins, it should sound like this. And remember, I'm playing a low 1 on the E string. There's about the first 4 measures there. The hardest thing for that is the low 1 on the E string. And then also when you go to third position, if you were to look at that first exercise we did and remind yourself that on the E string, the second exercise, I'm sorry, on the E string in third position, it's close 1, 2, the 1, 2 pattern. Make sure you catch that when you shift to third. Cellos and violas, yours will sound a little bit more like this. It's the same notes, it just sounds a little different when it's lower. There's a low 1. Good. And violas, you do have a shift there at the end. Let me play the ending now. I'll play it for violin and then I'll play it for viola, cello. These are the last 4 measures. And I'd just like you to take some time to go through these and kind of work through it. Again, if you know the melody, that'll make it a little easier, but making sure that you're playing the correct notes, the F naturals and the B flats are the big ones. Okay, here's the last 4 measures for violin. Again, I'm starting with a low one. Good, and last for violoncello, the lower octave. Let's see. Okay, so work to get those 2 sections put together. Again, looking out for those notes that tend to trip us up. And last but not least, I'm going to have you look through 138. I'm going to have you do it on your own. These chorales tend to be a little bit simpler than the tune beforehand, and they are a good opportunity for you to practice within the key signature, but doing it on your own. So if you run into anything and it sounds kind of funky, go back and look at the finger patterns on the previous page. They're there for a reason. They're there to help you. So, for example, if you're playing on the A string and something doesn't sound right, chances are you're not doing a low one for your B flat. And you can go back and check and look at those finger patterns, and that should help you out. Okay? So we will go over this chorale, though, in our lesson. So page 26 and 27, work on those on your own, and then we'll work on them together or play through them together in our lesson.